Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Grave Matters. I am not your host, Four Shot Pastas. Here with the hosts, Creepy Clown Girl, The Sleeping Wendigo, and Filia. Noctis.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hi.
Why don't we see who's in chat?
Sure. We can see who's in
Oh,
chat.
by the way, that was a great intro there, Four Shot.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Rico talks. Hello, Rico. I see
Hi, Rico.
Nathaniel. I see Nathaniel Nelson. Hello, Nathaniel.
Hi, Nate.
The amazing WTF.
Hi.
And Miss Patience. Miss Patience
Hi,
is here.
Jason.
Welcome.
And Director Void.
Hi, Director. For
Don't
those that
forget to
don't
hit the
know,
likes.
for those that don't know Nathaniel Nelson, Nate, I believe, will be on the 9th of February. So,
Oh, cool.
where's that? If I'm wrong, Nate, refresh my memory. Glad to have you here. I see a Zane or somebody.
Zeus. That's the amazing. What the fuck?
Okay. Okay. So, before we get started, congratulations to PA Nightmares for reaching 950 subscribers. Well done, buddy.
That's awesome.
Holla!
So, congratulations to him. Also, for those that may have not heard, let's all send our thoughts, prayers, hugs, and hearts out to Vita22 and his family. He just recently lost his father. So show him some love and some support during this difficult time.
Yeah.
Our heart and prayers out to you, Vid.
Oh, Pimp Demon.
Hey, Demon. So who would like to start?
I get
It was quiet.
So, Four Shot. What is your channel all about? Where did you get your name and what is your channel all about?
So, I am Four Shot Pastas, which it came from my name, Four Shot Bot, which I came up with back in like 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. And it came from a character from League of Legends, actually, which I was very into at the time. I am no longer for personal reasons.
Oh my goodness.
But essentially, it was just kind of a play on words for the character. If anyone has played League of Legends and has played Jhin before, you'd probably get it. He's essentially obsessed with the number 4. He has a gun that fires 4 shots, and he's a bottom laner in the video game. So I came up with 4 Shot Bot from that. And then from there, I started a gaming channel, which I haven't touched in probably 2 years. And then I kind of just swapped out the bot with pastas for when I felt like narrating. Well, trying my hand in it anyway. As you can probably see, I haven't posted anything in a while. But that's because I ended up getting into writing after I did narrating for a little while, and it is very difficult to write and narrate in the same time frame. And so I decided to focus all my efforts on my writing because I still have some other hobbies IRL, like biking and gaming, watching anime, that sort of thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hello, Christine Baker. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
My Chris. That is my Chris.
Oh,
Yes.
Amazing job on her nails, by the way. Awesome job on
yeah.
Jelly.
Gee, it really is a combined effort though, because I'll have something in my head and I'm like, can we do this? And she's like, I don't know, but I think we could do this. And we'll go back and forth while setting our nails up. So it makes it crazy when I change my mind. She's like, God damn it. But yeah, it's very much a collaborative effort that I love them. They're cool.
Hey, our resident Derringer.
And Derringer's here. Cool.
So sis, you have
And
oh, go ahead first.
I was just gonna say Zeus is reminding amazing what the fuck is reminding Raven that Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Mom remembers.
Exactly.
What?
It's from is it
Family
is it
Guy.
Family Guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it was either Family Guy or Rick and Morty.
I think it initially came from an ad that Pepperidge Farms made, and that's where Family Guy got it.
Right.
But I can't remember if it was actually from a real ad or if it was just their take on Pepperidge Farm.
No, they did have a real ad where they talked about, remember when sitting on the porch, drinking the lemonade, having these
Pepperidge
cookies.
Farm remembers.
Right. So it was a nostalgia thing.
I got to look this up after the show because now I am very curious.
You know what? I couldn't even tell you what episode.
Oh yeah,
You could probably just type it in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you'll probably
yeah.
be able to find the episode from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could probably just type it in and find it.
The main reason everyone knows it is because it became a meme for months on end.
Yeah.
We have.
Do you remember when that happened? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Do you remember when you ran over that? I can't remember if it was a jogger or a kid or something. Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Yes.
Okay.
That is dark, but I love it.
It is. It's very dark. But it's,
Alright. To be fair,
I-
though. Oh, sorry, you
fair.
go.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to be fair, if you're in the horror community and you aren't a fan of dark jokes, how are you a fan of horror?
Right. Exactly.
Right.
We
We got stream bots in. Cool.
Whoa. We have a bot now? All right, who didn't wear a condom?
Wait, where did the bot come from? Now I'm confused.
Exactly. Streamlabs bot. So someone didn't wear a condom.
Streamlabs put the random out of context quote from our quotes. Type in quote. What?
Huh?
I don't know.
Did Traveler's Tavern put that in?
No.
Raven's
No.
saying something.
I didn't set that up. I think Mia did.
That's
Oh,
what
okay.
I'm saying.
Well,
So I
then
was
maybe
asking-
she did. But I don't remember seeing that bot on the show Saturday.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's why I was asking if it was from Traveler's Tavern because I never seen that before.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't.
Yeah,
see
I
it.
mean,
But
Oh, well.
patient says it's not spam, but it's doing it
Oh.
again.
Oh,
I want to date Ash Ketchum, PA Nightmares, 2022. Oh my God, I know what it's doing now. All of those quotes that get saved,
Uh-huh.
that's what's happening. Our
Yep.
quotes are coming back to haunt us.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. Oh
That's gonna
God,
be-
this is good.
Okay. Benny, Vidi, Vic Fondle. Oh, that was from Ray Beeman. Boy, this is gonna
Hello,
be funny.
furberries.
Hi, Furberries. Welcome.
welcome,
Okay.
Burberries.
So, this interview is going to be tough today. If that keeps happening, it's going to be very difficult. So, you have done both the writing and the narrating.
Yeah.
do you think it's more difficult to write a story specifically to be read out loud than to write a regular story? Or do you feel that there's no difference?
So here's the thing, the way I look at it, I can't speak for all writers, of course, but for me, I personally just enjoy stories that are read aloud. Because I don't know how many people know this about me, but I have aphantasia, which means I can't see images inside my head. And so when I'm reading a story, I also have no inner monologue. So it's very boring for me to just sit down and read a story because there's not even any voices going on. And so either I prefer listening to audiobooks or I prefer to read the stories I'm reading out loud because then I can do the voices and then it gets me more invested in the story. And so for me, I kind of just write stories how I've experienced them, which is generally read out loud. And so I feel like for me to write a story that's not meant to be read out loud would be a lot more difficult because that's the only way I've ever experienced stories.
Okay.
Hmm.
That's very unique that you don't hear it, or it doesn't play in your head.
Yeah. It's about 2 or 3% of the population, and you'd be surprised, but there's actually a large percentage of artists who have aphantasia. If I remember correctly, it's like 50% of Pixar's animation team have it. I don't know all the statistics, of course, and it's still a very new field of research to begin with, because only I don't mean to completely stray off topic, but only recently was there physical evidence to support the existence of aphantasia, because before it was just self-proclaimed, which isn't very scientific. But recently there was a closed study that was basically correlated aphantasia to pupil dilation. And so typically the more vivid a person's mind's eye, the more their pupil dilates when they're when they're picturing things in their head. So the more vivid the image, the more their pupils dilate typically. Is essentially what the research delved into.
That's weird.
Fascinating.
And with people with aphantasia, their pupils don't dilate at all.
Oh wow. Interesting.
Yeah, my mom and my sister have it, and every time when I tell them, "Hey, can you imagine something in your head?" they go, "No, I cannot at all." And then when I say I can, or another family in a family that also can see images, they're like, "No, you're faking it." Everyone's like, "No, we're not faking it."
That's the interesting part about it, is that there are people who have a mind's eye who refuse to believe that people just don't, because you'll ask them like, what does a tree look like, and you remember the details but you don't see it in your head. And so it kind of like when you think of something, like how you'll think of like a pool or something, a pool with a bunch of people around it. You'll think of it, and then the picture activates after thinking about it, which is the way I've learned to describe it, is every time you think of something that produces an image, the thought comes before the image does. And so essentially for someone with aphantasia, the thought comes, but the image never does. And that's how you retain information, essentially.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is, it is interesting.
It is. And I could see how it would be harder to write that way, because you can't visualize the conversation that the two characters are having or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then, let your mind progress to, okay, well, this happened, so now we have to go on this, or should we go this way? That's weird.
And that's...
you seem to be taking, not taking care of it, but doing well despite it.
I appreciate that.
Aphantasia? Is that what?
Yeah,
Like,
aphantasia. It's spelled with a PH, not an F.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that question would be so interesting.
Yeah. Kind of went off on a tangent, but there it is.
No,
Yeah,
it's
that's
fine.
cool.
That's what we like.
Yeah, we like tangents. That's neat. Okay. Next.
That is really neat. I like
Cece.
that. So, of
Yeah.
course, shot. You used to be a narrator, and now you're more into writing. So my question to you is, whether as a narrator or a writer now, in your everyday ordinary life, do you find it hard to separate the two, or do they have an influence on each other and what you do in everyday life?
Yeah,
Do you feel
so
it changed you?
so I would say that they do intermingle sometimes. Like because when I'm reading or listening to stories, I'll generally analyze them as I listen to them, or like if I've listened to them before anyway, I'll generally analyze them as I'm listening to them. And sometimes that can put me into more of a negative headspace where I'm just critiquing everything that happens throughout the day. And so sometimes it can put me into just a worse mood in general. So a big part of that analyzing is trying to remember to shut it off when I'm just going about normal daily life. That also tends to happen after revising my work because I try to be critical so that way I can produce the best work I can. I I oh sorry, I'm trying to word this in my head. And then as far as daily life goes, I'll frequently think back to things that have happened in my life while I'm writing. Because I try to make my characters feel believable. I want them to feel human no matter how paranormal they are. I still want each character to have those human aspects, so every character is anyone can become emotionally tied to any of my characters, because if they have the personality but no depth, then to me it generally ends up feeling hollow. And so a lot of times I'll end up looking back on people I've met, even if it was only for like 20 minutes. I try and use those personalities I've met and try to give those characters backstories based on the personality, how they got there, why they have those beliefs, and why they ended up turning out the way they did.
Well, from what I've heard, you've done an excellent job on that. And like when I go to write a story, like you, I take events that have happened in my life or other people's lives, like when I went to summer camp, when I wrote the story Summer Camp, which is based on a true, and then now doing a fan fiction for Sabian Lockhart, aka Cleaving Thought for Bone. I put myself back at camp, and it's like I feel like you do. You know, you have to put the emphasis and the emotion, and you have to treat the character as though they're in the same room with you, like they're alive. You know?
Yeah, definitely. I that's one reason why I don't frequently write one-off stories, is because it's hard to get invested in a character you've only been reading about for 15 minutes. Even if even when I put the depth there, like I think one of my best one-offs that I managed to do that with was based on a nightmare I had. It was, I can't remember the name of it, but it was my most recent one that I did, and it's essentially about this guy who he passes out in a train station and ends up going into this other world by hopping onto this train that came a few minutes early, and
Wow.
essentially, he ends up remembering a a bunch of his childhood because he's just a salaryman that's living a dead end life, and he ends up remembering a huge chunk of his childhood that he had essentially repressed. And so by the end of it, he basically says, "I'm not writing this for you guys. I'm writing this for my family members because we don't talk anymore, and I just want them to know that if I don't come back, this is where I went."
I will definitely.
Wow.
Wow.
Hmm.
So when it comes to your writing, like you said, you put the human aspect to it, but do you find usually you step out of your comfort zone, I guess the words, and try, does Four-Shot Pasta end up being the writer, or would you say it's you're not non-persona, and which one do you usually work with, or both?
I would say that they generally end up blending together because, like, I'd say when I started off with my most popular series, My Roommate is Slenderman, I initially started that as a comedy series. And as I've worked on it, Act 3 is, I've already started working on Act 3. I have 2 parts out for it right now. And if you compare the first 2 parts of Act 1 to the first 2 parts of Act 3, you can tell it's become a lot more serious than it started as. And I feel it's because I started out writing from this persona, and as I've written more, because I've been writing for just over 3 years now, as I wrote more, I implemented more of myself into my work, and so I feel they've kind of blended together. I don't really consider Four-Shot Pastas to be a completely other person. I I think it's more the more positive aspects of myself. Like when I'm streaming or something, I'll generally shy away from talking about, my personal stuff, the dark
Right.
shit I'm going through. And so I'd say Four-Shot Pastas is more of just the positive aspects of myself, so I'm able to bring people joy and laughter and stuff like that, because um I really enjoyed it when I was growing up, the joy that writing can bring to people, like reading Calvin and Hobbes and stuff like that. Obviously my writing isn't like that at all, but that's why I try and implement comedy even into the darker aspects of my work.
Okay. Pimp Demon says Chad is the best character. And then he says, Four-Shot, I think it was, I see myself in the mirror.
Oh, no. That one was my most recent one, which again, that one delved into a character which was a CEO essentially, and he ended up realizing just how shitty his life was, because he wasn't living for anyone else but himself. But yeah, that one also I really enjoyed writing. Here, I can pull up the story. But as far as Chad goes, he initially started as more of comic relief, and then I ended up actually giving him a proper backstory. No one will look me in the eyes. That was the one-off I was talking about earlier.
Okay.
Oh yes, share that link in Grave Matters, and
I was just going to say that. Share the link in Gray Matters, and then we can transfer it.
Let me do that real quick.
So when it comes to your writing, what would you say is your strongest and weakest aspects when it comes to writing? And would you say that Four-Shot, as Four-Shot and as yourself?
So I would say my strongest aspects as both myself and Four-Shot, I would say for me, it's that I'm able to put myself in the shoes of other people very easily. But then the weakness that comes with that is that it's more difficult for me to give that person depth if I don't have something to work with. Like if someone, I'd say, think of a character like Superman, from when he was originally made, just an absolutely flawless character. I can't give someone like that a tragic backstory because they're too flawless, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like all of my characters have some kind of mental issues. Like Joseph, he's constantly dealing with depression and derealization. Terry is struggling with letting go of the person he loved years ago, and so he holds on to this one human that he's projecting his past love onto in order to feel like she's still around. I try and give every single one of my characters some kind of flaw like that in order to again add to that feeling of humanity. And then I'd say as 4-shot, I can sometimes end up making things not serious enough when they should be, which is why I've actually moved into properly revising stories before I post them. Each individual part on a story I'll revise 1 or 2 times because I want the proper emotion that I initially felt to be properly conveyed, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does.
It does. Very much.
Okay. I posted the link to No One Will Look Me in the Eyes.
All right.
It's in
I
chat.
appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Also, I want to run something by you after this show. Shut up.
For sure. I don't mind.
All right.
Filia or Wendigo?
When it comes to your narration style or writing style and your delivery, what would you say are your biggest strengths and weaknesses? This could be for either your narrating or your writing.
So, because I did cover the writing ones, I'll cover the narrating aspect of that. For narrating, a big issue I have is that I tend to stumble over my words a lot, which is why I don't do narrating very often, because it makes it a pain in the ass to edit. Because like a narration will end up being 40 minutes long, and then after editing it, it's 25 minutes long. That's how bad it is. It makes it so difficult to narrate anything, because the thing is, I like to narrate something before I read it, so I don't know what words are going to come next, because that way I'm able to convey the emotion I feel in the moment in my voice. I can mimic emotion, but it doesn't feel as nice as feeling
Reading
the
it.
emotion in the moment.
There
Yeah,
are
that's
several narrators that do that.
Yeah. But at the same time, I'm able to do a lot of voices, which is what I would say my strength in narrating is. I have a very wide vocal range. I'm able to do accents pretty easily. I'm able to learn them within minutes if I need to. But at the same time, it comes at the cost of not memorizing them unless I were to spend time memorizing them.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I have to memorize them.
Yeah,
If-
one of the reasons that you do that, I don't know if anybody's ever told you this before, because you think faster than you talk.
Yeah, I
Some
would
people
say
think
that's accurate.
really, really fast. Some people think really, really fast, and your mouth can't keep up. It's the same for a lot of people when they're writing. That's why typing is faster than handwriting.
Yeah. I'd say
But
sometimes I
there's
do.
still fumbles.
Yeah.
So, yep, you got a pretty fast brain in there, dude.
I try to keep it fast. There was one thing Zeus said. Hey, I can do a better Aussie accent than Lady Spicaria, you say? All right.
but I might.
I can get diggy with it.
I can mimic some accents, but it takes me a little bit to actually learn the accent, and I would have to practice a couple times. But I can pick it up relatively quickly.
Yeah,
It
I
just
definitely feel
depends
that.
It just depends on how long I actually want to practice and actually learn the accent.
Mhm.
I know the feeling.
Definitely.
I would say my hardest voice that I ever had to do, thank you, Kayla, was Sabian came to me and goes, "Hey, you want to be in Ocus Lake again?" And well, this time I had to play the part of a woman whose throat and esophagus was damaged during a fire.
Oh.
And so I can't do it as good as, then, but see if I can do it. My throat and esophagus was damaged in a fire at Rex's bar.
Oh, that's really good.
Oh, I was so nervous. I'm like, you want me to
Sorry,
do what?
I need to use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll keep the
Okay.
show going.
Well, let's do a commercial real quick.
A commercial?
Yeah,
Like
the
start the
commercial
show?
for Grave Matters. Our commercial.
Oh, our commercial. We have a commercial?
Yeah, where we
Oh.
discuss, where we tell people about Grave Matters, and
yeah.
not Grave Matters. The Nevermore Collective, and what it does. Sorry, I have food in my mouth.
Well, the Nevermore Collective is a channel with our show on it, The Traveler's Tavern. Seraphine and Derringer have a show. And I suck at this. Filia, food out of mouth, take over.
Okay. The Nevermore Collective is a place where you can host. It hosts videos and shows for you. If you don't think it's necessarily right for your channel, or you want to try something new, you can try it over here to see if it's going to work or not. We have several different shows during the week that are live, and we have the nerds talking on Sunday morning, and then on Saturday we've got Traveler's Tavern. On Thursdays we've got Grave Matters. There was another one that was about cryptids, but anything.
That
was what?
Wasn't that one by 42 and Bard, I think?
Yeah. I think it was.
Okay. I
Okay.
hope that one.
Anyway,
Wait.
so if you think of something that you don't necessarily want to put on your channel, and we're not talking pornography here, people, behave. You can you can just hop over and you can talk to myself, Cece, Sleeping Wendigo, Raven, the man behind the yellow stripe. You can also ask me and Mina. You can ask
PA Nightmares.
PA Nightmares. So there's a lot of different ways a lot of different people that you can get hooked up with to get you something. We'll host videos and we host live shows too. And once you join the collective, you can leave Nevermore. Nevermore. Anyway, okay, commercial's done and 4 shots back.
Hello.
Welcome back, Pork Chop.
Thank you.
Nathaniel Nelson just came in.
Welcome back, Nathaniel. Hey, Nate. I believe he will be on the 9th of February. So join us next week when we'll bring Surfing the Midnight Bard and Derringer. And I believe on the 9th is Nathaniel Nelson. So got a lot of good shows coming in.
Nathaniel's on
Who
the
doesn't
6th.
like Friday the 13th?
Oh, Nathaniel's on the 16th. Thank you, Wendigo. Who is on the 9th?
That would be the scary show.
Ah, yes, the scary
Oh.
show.
Cool.
Yes.
The show that's
And
scary.
then on the 16th is Nathaniel Nelson. And then on the 26th of February, is that correct, Wendigo? Finally, after 2 years,
That's 10 days.
the 23rd,
Mm-hmm.
we will finally, after 2 or 3 years, be welcoming Man Productions to Grave Matters. So, a lot of great shows
It's gonna be
coming up.
awesome. And what we plan on doing with Man, if he's willing, is to get some of his favorite things, drawings, whatever he calls them, images that he's done, and like show them on screen. Yeah, we're hoping to do that. So it'll be really cool. Tell your friends. They're gonna want to be here for that.
Go tell your friends, everyone.
Right. Okay. So, Borshot, you're
Yes.
obviously into horror because you're part of the group.
Yeah.
So, kind of lets me think that you're into horror.
I do dabble.
Yes. Do you have a movie or a writer or a character that you feel like gave you the confidence or whatever to take that first step? Take the plunge into being horror.
Like someone who gave me the confidence to plunge in,
Or even just watching something on TV going, I could do that.
An
I could do that.
inspiration.
So
An inspiration.
I have been listening to creepypastas since I'd say when did Slenderman and shit come out? Right around that time. Which is actually part of why I ended up writing Slenderman as my main character for my roommate is Slenderman. I wanted to Jeff the Killer, all those guys, I wanted to kind of pay tribute to what got me into horror to begin with for my first stories. But I'd say what finally got me to do it was listening to I Ride for Cerber by Nature's Temper, narrated by Nature's Temper, written by Mofucius. That's what got me into narrating to begin with. I listened to it and I was like, oh man, I want to narrate something like that. And eventually I did some narrations. I ended up meeting T-Stash, who wrote a bunch of he and I write in the same universe now. But initially I just narrated a series that he was working on at the time. And then after he either got halfway through it or finished the first series, I decided I wanted to pick up writing because I saw what people were doing with it and I was like, I want to give people the same wonder that I feel while listening to these stories. Because I don't listen to a whole lot of traditional creepypastas anymore. I love stories like Tales from the Gas Station, the broadcast station one I can't remember. I can't remember the name of right now. And
Night Vale?
It was Accounts from a Lonely Broadcast Station. That was the story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And My Property Isn't Normal. I love the way those stories were constructed. And I wanted to try doing something like it without just copying the formula. And that's a large part of how My Roommate is Slenderman came about. That mixed with some inspiration from I Drive for Cerber. Which is why there's comedy, there's a lot of serious moments as well, because kind of what I wanted to start doing ended up melding with who I am as a person, which I love making jokes and stuff, but I also love having those serious conversations, like existential conversations, which is why it ended up morphing into more of, I'd say, a tragedy than as it started out as kind of a fucked up comedy. And so, yeah, like Tales from the Gas Station, those guys. And then, of course, Nature's Temper was a big reason I ended up getting pushed in that direction. I actually probably found his channel of like a few months before I started narrating.
Is
Pimp
there?
Demon says you
Oh, go
forgot
ahead.
about the guard stationed at the secret government prison.
Yeah, that one actually played a lot into the fight scenes that ended up playing out later in My Roommate is Slenderman. I believe it was part 6 to part 10, and then some in Act 2, and much more to come in Act 3. But yeah, I'm a guard station at a secret government prison. That one was a big inspiration for my action scenes.
Cool.
Which I'm still working on writing them better, but I think part 2 of Act 3, or I think it's part 18 currently of the overall series, represents a lot of how I write the action.
Well, that definitely has a lot of action.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot
that-
more than you'd
that-
think for a tragedy.
Right? That I like. That's one of my favorite ones too. Actually,
Oh shit! I'd love to hear that.
following it. Yeah, that's really
Keep an
cool.
eye out when I finish Act 3. There could end up being a narration of the whole series somewhere.
Ooh.
Ooh. Looking forward to it.
As am I.
Yeah.
All right, Four Shot. We have a question from Sock Goblin.
Oh dear.
He wants to ask you, who, living or dead, doesn't need to be YouTuber, would you want to write your obituary, and who would you want to narrate it?
Good
My
question.
obituary. That's like after you die and someone.
Yes.
Right, it's what
Okay. I want to make sure.
blurb,
I'm only. I want to make sure.
the blurb in the newspaper. You're like, a news what?
I think
Your
I
death
had a
announcement.
different answer last time, but I'd probably want Tolkien to write my obituary. The writer of Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
And then who would read it? Let me think. Neil Gaiman,
Who's that?
the writer of Coraline and many other.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
I just
That would
love
be
his
cool.
voice. I don't know why, but it's smooth and it just sounds great.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason that you needed an obituary is because you died. You got put in Grave Matters prison.
Oh.
What do you think you did? This is kind of a big question. What do you think you did to get put in prison? What your last meal is going to be? And how are you going to be executed? We're a full service.
Yeah, definitely,
got you.
100%.
We're full service. We've got you from writing things to talking about things, being in jail, feeding you, full
Yeah,
service.
100%. So I'd say if I were to be put in prison for something, it would have to be. I was assumed to be a murderer based on my search history.
Right? Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think we're all in trouble there.
and through that, they would think I was probably it was probably a triple homicide, is what they would think most likely. Not that there actually was one, but you know, hypothetically. My last meal, I would have to say, would probably be a shit ton of sushi and calamari. Because
Ooh, calamari is so good.
Oh, yes.
And then how I would want to go out.
Yes.
I think I said this last time, but an anti-tank rifle to the temple.
Yeah. Okay. That there's no coming back from that.
I can
I think
guarantee I die, and it's in a badass way.
I think
Yeah.
that's what he wanted.
It's very
Yeah,
Sure.
you would have no head. No, you
Yeah,
wouldn't have-
nobody else has come up with that one.
Well, it's like
Alright.
we had the Dark Scholar on, and we asked him that. I forget what he did to get in death row, and he said probably pizza. And he said my method of execution would be a pizza cutter.
That's a good
Yep.
one. Starting with the arms, moving down to the legs, and finally the head.
Right. So Wendigo and I both had this idea. So we started writing a short comedy horror called The Pizza Cutter. And there's a part in there where Caesar, he, you know, is a chef at Arzio's Pizzeria and Pasta, because Dark Scholar loves pasta. So anyways, this doctor comes in, Snodgrass, and he's obsessed with him. And anyways, he ends up cutting his hand on a pizza cutter, and then when he's reaching for a towel, he's like, I wonder how hard it would, you know, be to kill someone with a pizza cutter. But he gets snapped out of his spot when the waitress goes order up, and it takes him out of his delectable spot.
I thought you were gonna say she slices his throat with a pizza cutter.
No.
Honestly.
No, it snaps him out of his what was it, Wendigo? Out of his delectable thought.
I can find it here.
Oh.
I can
Hold
find it here.
on. Yeah, so
I'm gonna
is how
find
it
it and I'm gonna read that
Um,
part.
yeah, this is
Okay.
funny 'cause-
And Zeus, the amazing what the fuck wants to know if he is in said comedy.
I don't know.
After a few minutes, the young lady returned, saying, "Here is your order, sir," handing him the box and drink. He says, "Thank you," with a smile, picking up his food and leaving. Standing in the kitchen, Caesar intently watches him, leaving, thinking to himself, "I wonder how good he would taste barbecued." "Order up," the young lady says, snapping him out of his delectable thoughts. Mumbling under his breath, he goes back to work.
Yummy.
Wow.
I love human
Yeah.
flesh.
Long pig. It's speaking of long pig and barbecue. You know, I used to work in surgery, and a lot
Yum.
of the stuff that we do in surgery is used. We use it's called an electrocautery pen, and most of us just call it a Bovie because that's a brand. But you've got the current running through this, and it slices through a lot of stuff, especially things like fat. But when human fat starts to cook a little, it does not smell like you would think. It does not smell like an animal being cooked on a fire. It has a very sickly, sweet smell,
Yes.
and it's kind of gross actually.
Apple ham.
So I don't know how you would cook
Oh,
long pig to make it more appetizing. because from smelling it, the cooked flesh, you know, from
Yeah.
from the pottery, it's I would think it would be very difficult, but you know, if we could all come up with a way to make the meat taste better or at least smell better, you know, not that we're actually going to do this, but you know, just a little research.
Just ask a
See if any-
cannibal. Poor
Most
shot.
of them are they're in
Oh, go
prison.
ahead.
There's still one in China that's still alive, I think, and he's pretty famous. He even apparently
He-
wrote a book.
He got out. They sentenced him to a specific amount of time, and he served the time and got out.
Yep, he's out now, and the people
Hmm.
of China actually made him famous for a short time.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but when I find
I don't either, but I know who you're talking about.
yeah, but Four Shot Pimp Demon has a question for you now.
I did see that.
He wants to ask you, what fictional character would you kidnap?
Jesus Christ! I
Would-
feel like I'm is like bi- I feel like y'all are trying to throw me in prison. Shit. All right. Not that I've ever considered kidnapping anyone, because you know. So it's gonna take me a minute to think of an answer to that. You know what?
I would.
Rita the raccoon from Tales from the Gas Station. Specifically the
Why
one.
her? Why?
Specifically the one in book 2 and up.
Why her? Why?
Because she ends up turning into essentially a dragon. And
Oh.
she's a dragon raccoon, essentially. Spoiler alert. I realize I should probably say that beforehand, but oh well. But it's already been said and it happened in book 2. And so I just want a raccoon dragon.
Oh, you just want.
There you
You
go.
just want.
Just want a raccoon dragon. Good question. We'll write that one down. So, Four Shot. For the future of Grave Matters, is there a celebrity that you would like to see interviewed on our show?
So when you say celebrity, do you mean like Hollywood, or are you talking like YouTube?
YouTube or Hollywood?
Gotcha.
Good question, huh?
I would say if it were just a YouTuber, I would want to see Vidith on here. And if it were a celebrity like from Hollywood, you know what? I guess I wouldn't even say from Hollywood. Just in general, someone from outside of YouTube.
B-rated movie.
Yeah.
No, nothing X-rated.
I feel like Jack Townsend, the writer of Tales from the Gas Station, would be interesting to see on here.
That. Oh yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Bela Lugosi.
Bela Lugosi. There you go.
Yeah.
I would love to get Anthony Hopkins on here. I must work on this.
Or Tony Todd.
Yes, I need to get back in touch with him. But I do also.
I would like to see if we could get Robert Englund on here.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
We can work on this. We can all, just ping his Twitter and hopefully he responds.
Yeah, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Let's get him on here.
Oh, that would be.
Yeah. Oh
That'd be
my
awesome.
God. Trying to tame his mouth. Oh, Nothing bad, Stone. Nothing bad, Stone Cold. Love you, man.
Well, you know,
Stone Cold says so.
yeah, that's someone who definitely has to get into character
Right.
for for the wrestling. He actually, I saw an interview with him recently, and he lives in a double wide trailer out on some property near where his kids and his ex-wife live. A double wide. I mean, the man's got money. He should at least have gotten a triple wide.
Right. But see, he doesn't
Take
let
up-
his
Take up both
thing
lanes
go
on the
to his
freeway.
head. Right.
Yeah. And he does have an old truck and, like an old Bronco or something
Right.
like that. I think it was one of the ones from like the 70s. It had the hard top convertible. Do you remember those, Cece? Where they would
Yes.
literally just take the back end glass
Mm-hmm.
and it was completely like a Jeep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very definitely 70s thing.
Honestly, if I had that kind of money, I'd get a double-decker bus.
If I had that kind of money, one, I'd have a Hummer. Two, a tank.
When I'm sorry, but when you said double decker bus, the first thing I thought of was that joke that Fluffy made about someone
Yeah,
being hit by
A
one.
man exploded today when he was hit by a double-decker bus. I actually thought of that when I was thinking, because my dad, he used to own a coffee shop that was in a double-decker bus, which is why my mind went there. And then after
Oh.
that, my brain went to Fluffy's joke.
Oh.
The
So,
man. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was about to make a joke compared to what he did. It was. So today, a man got ran over by a school bus. He will be fine. And in England, a man just got hit by a double-decker bus. He exploded.
Oh. Goodness.
Portia, you're into video games and stuff.
Yeah.
Is there a game or a favorite movie of yours that you've watched, and no disrespect to any of the writers, producers, directors, anything on this comment, but do you ever sit there and think of writing a fan fiction, or think that it would have sounded better this way, or you feel that you could have done it better?
So I'd say for movies, I think because I've listened to both the book of John Dies at the End as well as watched the movie, and I feel like the movie should have gotten better funding. I understand why it didn't, but if anyone's read the book of John Dies at the End and watched the movie, or if you've read it and watched the movie, you'll know just how much they cut out of the movie. And I think it could have made like a 3-movie series, or even like gotten a TV show of it, because that movie did not do the book justice. As much as I loved the movie, I watched the movie first before I even knew it was a book. But I listened to the book and it was just so much cut content, like probably 2/3 of the book were just cut out from the movie. And so I feel like it just didn't get proper justice. And of course it was made as a B movie at the time. And so I understand why they didn't have the budget to make a full-length movie of the book. But at the same time, I feel like it just deserves it. I love that style of comedy and that style of story. And so, yeah, if I were to like see a movie get remade, I would definitely have to say John Dies at the End, just because there was so much missed between the book and movie. And I'm not just saying that as someone like, oh, the book was better. It was literally just so much cut content. And it
Do
was
you
just,
feel you could take that book and make it what you think?
I think
It
I'd be
deserves?
able to turn it into a screenplay, and like a written version. I feel like I'd be able to turn it into a screenplay that would work better, but I don't think I'd be able to like produce a movie better than that.
Real quick, Raven has a question.
Oh.
He
I think
says, you have unlimited funding to make 2 purchases. One has to be for someone else, and the other has to be for you. What would you buy?
good question.
Oh man, that's a toughie.
And it
Somebody
can't be
screen
pay bills.
Can't be pay bills.
somebody
I'm just gonna.
screenshot that question.
Oh, I'm gonna write it down. Hold on.
Go ahead, Portia.
Just like, yeah, I'm gonna pay their bills for their lifetime, mine for my lifetime.
And Derringer asked, can it be pay bill? Like you have Bill do something for you?
Oh,
Go ahead,
man.
Portia.
All right. So if I had to buy something for someone else, what would it be? The problem I've always had with questions like this is that I don't really think of buying stuff in the moment, or when I do, it's like I just buy a skyscraper in New York so I could sell it and get the money, so that way I'd be able to invest in shit. That sort of thing. I never really think about, like, I guess I'd buy myself a really nice gaming computer, or like a house or something like that. You know what? Yeah, I'd buy a duplex if I had, actually, even better idea. I'd buy an apartment complex.
Okay.
That way, I'd be able to rent it out to people for pretty cheap, since I don't have to pay back any loans, and then I'm still making money on it.
There you go.
Okay. There you go.
And then also people aren't having to pay as much on housing. And then I'd probably buy, I don't know, someone else duplex or something, I guess. It's not a very interesting answer, but it's because I think of financial security more than I do about other stuff.
Yeah, more than impulse purchases.
Yeah. I do make impulse purchases sometimes, but they're impulse, not like, you know, I've
Right.
been considering this for a while. When I bought my 3080, I wasn't like, I should wait a few months. I was like, I have the money now. Time to buy it now.
Right.
I would buy
I
an
now I want
old
to see it
abandoned.
now.
I would buy an old abandoned asylum and refurbish it to its natural, the way it would have looked back whenever, and then each room would be, like a small studio apartment or whatever, and then invite as many people from the horror community as possible to live there.
That'd be interesting.
And it would be called the
The Asylum of Horror.
Carnival Asylum.
Ah, even better.
So Director Void now has a question for you, Four-Shot.
Ooh.
If you were killed by any monster of your choice, what would that monster be?
Because I'm a writer, I'm gonna have to pick one of my creatures. It's just like, we already have a personal connection, so I feel like they're gonna do it quick.
I mean, you created it, so it probably would.
So I would say probably by my creature, the Kala. It is basically a dog-sized lizard creature. Lizard-like creature, because it isn't cold-blooded, it is warm-blooded. But it has scales, and its scales are tough enough to tank a bullet from a pistol. And it's able to rip apart a human in seconds. So I'd probably go out by Kala.
Nice.
Because that would be a badass way to go.
That's actually a really cool creature design.
Thank you. Thank you. There's more details to it, but if I were to go on a tangent about its lore, it would take 20 minutes. So I'm not going to do that.
Pimp has a follow-up. Pimp has a follow-up question to director's question.
All right.
Which hero or any fiction from any fiction would you want to save you from the Kala?
I would again have to go with something that I've written. Abraham, the headless horseman from my universe anyway.
Oh hell yes.
Specifically in his trademarked armor. And I would like him to cut it down with his sword.
Ooh.
Cool.
I think I just
Cool.
muted my mic, my headset. There we go.
Something somewhere, something's muted.
Yep, there we go. We're good. We're good.
Okay. Have you ever had any interesting, like, supernatural, paranormal things happen?
So, I'd say I've had things happen in the moment that felt supernatural, but upon looking back on it, it was probably just an overactive imagination. Like I said before the stream started, I want to believe that there's something else out there, but at the same time, I don't think any of my experiences are real enough. And I also feel like the human brain is just too susceptible to lapses in judgment to be certain that someone else has had those experiences. And so while I think it would be fascinating to have those things be real, and I would love to see something like a ghost, I can't say I believe I've ever seen one or had or believed anyone who says they've seen one. Words, they're coming to me.
Okay.
And that's okay. You know.
Those of us that have had real experiences, we understand.
We do.
But when you ask, show me proof, and they do, you're like, oh crap. Sometimes getting what you ask for is not always a good thing.
Well, it's just like when I've seen proof of supernatural beings, like it could be some kind of photo editing or something, which is why I'd want to see it firsthand. And while I have had those experiences that could be chalked up to that, it's either just a quick glance that's like less than a millisecond, and so it could just be a processing error, or like it was dark and I was staring at one spot for a long period of time, and so my brain could have just imagined something there that wasn't. Because then I'd like blink or something and it was gone, just because something passed over my eyes. Because the brain really is a complex thing, and it gets bored.
Remind me to find some things and share it with you. Dark and Grim narrated the video, and it is in my playlist. But my daughter, niece, and I went up to South Mountain. That's all I'm gonna say.
South Mountain is the border of Phoenix. Phoenix is actually in a huge valley. It's like 100 miles across. And the South Mountain used to be the very southern border. We've now built around the mountain, and that's sorry. I was giving you a little detail there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get the video and share it with you. It is the first video, and as soon as I took those pictures, we got the hell out of there, and I gave them to Dark and Grim, and I can assure you there was no altering these photos, and I had people ask me on Twitter, "Are you sure you came home with the right daughter?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see the photos. I'm just a very skeptical individual. Like, even in my writing, I always try and make things make scientific sense because I just
Yeah.
love science in general. And so I am open-minded, but I'm also very skeptical at the same time.
Well, I can assure you the photos that you will see in this video
For sure.
is
Cece has shown me these photos, and I can tell you they are creepy.
Yeah, I've seen them too. And it is very creepy.
Yeah, they really are.
I would have noped my ass right out of there.
oh, we did, because my daughter is not easily scared, and I said, "No, you want to look at these photos," and she's like, "Well, I'll do it when, you know." And I was like, "No, you want to do it now." And as soon as she saw it, she's like, "We're out of here."
Yeah.
Wendigo, or not Wendigo, I'm sorry. Raven, behind the yellow stripe, says skepticism is healthy and absolutely appropriate. 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 Holy shit, I can't type. I've only
Poor
been
Raven.
speaking for like 30 years, and yes, I'm still no good at that. Me no speak good.
Poor Raven.
He rarely messes up like that. It's funny. Yeah, I get that too. But yeah, skepticism is good. You have to, because there are people that fake things.
Yeah. And
Yes.
also sometimes it will be kind of like you glanced at something and it was literally just a trick of the mind sometimes. And so that is a large reason I am skeptical, that and memories being subject to change over time. The more you remember things, it's scientifically proven that, you know, the more you remember something, the more details are going to alter just because of how the human brain remembers things.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, like an SSD remembering things. And so, but yeah, I am still open to the idea of there being paranormal creatures and shit. It's just like, because the world seems so rational, it's hard to get behind things that don't have a whole lot of evidence. The world being
Yeah.
the world being
Yeah.
rational in the sense that, you know, like matter cannot be created or destroyed, all that science talk.
Yes.
But yeah, like I definitely explore ideas like that, especially in my writing. Like souls, for instance, are just fourth dimensional energy essentially.
Okay, yeah.
And so like I do dabble with concepts like that, and if they turned out to be somewhat true to some extent, I wouldn't doubt it, because you know, we only live in the third dimension and experience through the fourth dimension. So if there are dimensions beyond us, it wouldn't be out of the question for there to be beings who are beyond us. In fact, it would be arrogant to think there aren't, to
Right.
think that the third dimension is the only plane that entities can exist. Assuming there are dimensions beyond the fourth, and there are, you know, other universes and shit like that, but that's getting into more theoretical stuff.
Yeah.
Sent to you,
Okay.
and
All right, I'll
but
check it
What-
I
after
would
the
love to
stream.
hear your opinion when you watch the first one. The second one is the story. There's two stories, both are real, and the second one is I watched a ghost dance.
Gotcha.
And the strange thing about that is I was 17, and you might as well have been in the same room as me. That's how he wasn't transparent. And I described him to a T, I think, except for his hair. Come to find out, 5 years earlier, before my sister and her family moved in there, this guy, his girlfriend and him broke up, or she cheated on him or something. So he went
Yeah.
out into the barn, went up into the loft, put a rope around his neck and hung himself.
Thing.
Gotcha.
I've never forgotten.
The the only thing that I can think of that I've had experiences with that I cannot tell you what they were was whatever happened at my uncle's house and whatever the hell was whistling outside my house for years.
Ooh.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
And
There is a
the
legend about if you hear a whistling, but go on.
whatever it was that was whistling, it would start at around 1 2 3, whatever time it, I guess, in that period it decided to, and it would just sit there and whistle, and the whistling would last for like a minute or 2 minutes, and it would just not stop, and then it would just stop at whatever. It would start and then stop, and whatever it was did not breathe in between whistles. It was creepy,
Mm.
but it was moving around the house. Like you could physically, or you could hear it moving outside of the house,
Huh.
like moving to window. So whatever it was just walking and kept whistling, and it didn't take any breath at all during that time. It just kept whistling.
That's weird.
You should
Yeah,
do a story called The Whistler.
Yeah.
The whistling.
I
Man.
am working on one about that experience.
Not
And
the
it is
Whistling Man, but the Whistler.
Yeah, there is one that I'm working on called The Whistler, and it's about that experience because
Gotcha.
it happened multiple times, and I do not know what caused it. I don't know if it was an animal, I don't know if it was a person, but something was doing it, and I don't know what.
But when
Okay,
you
but I hate to break this up, guys, but it is 8:26.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna go ahead and start with Four Shot, and then Filia and Wendigo. I'll close the show out
Okay.
at Four Shot.
Okay.
I am 4-Shot Pastas. You can go check me out on Reddit or on my YouTube or over on Twitch, which I think is 4-Shot Bot actually. Generally, I'm most active on Reddit because I write stuff, and yeah.
Cool. I'm Filia Noctis, one of the hosts of Grave Matters, and I would like to thank Creepy Clown Girl and Sleeping Wendigo and Four Shot for all being here, and Raven, thank you again for doing all of our techie work, and Patience, thank you for letting us borrow your husband yet again, and everybody in chat that's showed up. You know, it's great to have you here. Well, it's saying there's not anybody in chat, so I don't know. That was weird. Anyway, so y'all have a great night. Come back next Thursday. We're gonna have a great show. Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of great shows stacked up. So you're gonna want to be here every Thursday. Tell your friends, tell your parents, tell the world. Okay, I'm done.
I
was phenomenal.
would like to thank everyone for joining us. Four Shot, thank you for coming on to the show. It was really fun having you on here. I would like to thank Filia and CC for allowing me to be a host on the show, and I'd like to thank Raven because without him, this show wouldn't even exist.
Right. Yes.
That is so true. Thank you to everyone in chat. And like Filia said, be sure to join us every Thursday. Thank you to Raven, the man behind the yellow line. Thank you, Patience. Thank you, Filia and the Sleeping Wendigo. You guys are awesome hosts. Glad to have you with me. Four Shot, awesome interview. Glad to have you back. And
Yes.
remember, stay frightened. And if you do listen, the graves always whisper. And once you join the collective, you can leave nevermore. Good night,
Nevermore.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night. It was good having me on. I misworded that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you for
okay.
having me on. There we go.